Hey, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of Love in Black and White with Jay and Manny. I'm one of your hosts, Big Irish Jay Hollingsworth, and my good buddy, Manulus Martin. Manny.
Good to be here, man. I'm so excited for this, kicking things off. We just want to put some love back in the world. That's what we're doing.
You get it. That'll be the tagline. Putting love back in you. we both this wasn't planned. We both chose to wear pink.
Yeah, it's great minds think alike, man. You need a little bit of love.
Yes, and I've said this before about the podcast art. It's we look like an old gay interracial couple, and I think it's perfect.
It really does, man. I mean, it just takes me back to the days we're living together, buddy. It's
yeah,
so sexy.
Yeah, so we'll get into this. Some of you may know me from various things, maybe from doing podcasts with my buddy Kev on stage, or from stand-up, or from my own podcast, The Hollingsworthless, or whatever. And you may know Manny from also both Manny and myself. We were house MCs at the Comedy Club Parlor Live in Bellevue, Washington. You may know Manny from, he was on Heart of the City, Kevin Hart's Heart of the City on Comedy Central. You may have know him from, he was also on Jubal Flags, or now it's Jubal Fresh's podcast. He was a sidekick on that, and or you may just know him as a friend.
Yes, that's how most of us know me.
So Manny and I have been friends for, now it's been like 12 years, 10 to 12.
Yeah.
We met at Comedy Underground, was it?
Yeah, we met at Comedy Underground with my old arch nemesis. So he was friends with
That'll be a future episode how that came about.
Oh God, just so crazy and weird.
Yeah, but Manny and myself, we were roommates. How long were we roommates, Manny? Like 3 or 4 years?
I want to say about probably 4 years, and then the wife broke up the band, man. She was like, hey, it's time to grow up. I'm moving in. I was like, oh, fair enough.
What's a trip, though, is just because I went through something with a roommate maybe about a year ago or whatever that was bad, which was a bad thing. What's crazy is, obviously it sucked and everything, but like I don't really remember it being that. I think you were more upset about having to tell me than I was. Like, yeah. I was like, oh, no, I get it.
Yeah. I mean, it's always, I think, me, I'm just, like we talked about in other shows, I have such a hard time delivering bad news and just like putting people out that I'm just kind of like, we'll let this thing go until the last minute. So.
Yeah, Manny's literally you'll learn that from this podcast if you don't already. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. But to the point of the podcast, Love in Black and White. So, Manny, if you're listening to this and not watching, Manny is black, and I am white. And we pretty much have like the same dating history on opposite sides of the spectrum.
Yeah, exactly.
So Manny's a black dude that's you predominantly dated white women, and you're married to a white woman, and I am a white guy that predominantly dated black women of color, and I'm single. So I think it's a good balance of different views and ideas on dating and relationships, and that's what's kicking off this podcast.
Yeah, man. God, it's so what would you say contributed to, did you grow up in a predominantly like black neighborhood?
Fat asses. No, I'm just kidding. No. Hey, yeah. Oh, and let me just say this, since this is the first episode, this podcast is the subject matter is dating, relationships, love, all that and stuff. But know first that we are comics, so comedy is going to be throughout this. I mean, we may talk about the most horrendous stuff, but we're still going to be joking about it. So if that, exactly. I don't know how, I'm putting that as a buffer up front. But to answer your question, Manny, yeah, so I growing up, I bounced around a lot. My mom and dad, I don't ever remember them being together. I don't know how long they were officially married for, but I don't ever remember that. And so growing up, I bounced. I think I counted it one time. I think I went to like 13 different schools growing up, but I bounced between my mom and my stepdad's place, my dad's place, and then my grandparents. Now, my grandparents, rest in peace or rest in power, as people say now. I don't know. Yeah, I don't, or rest in paradise. I don't know.
Yeah.
Any other P's? But my grandparents lived on 52nd and Killingsworth, Portland, Oregon, and out of all the places moving around growing up, my grandparents is what I would call home, because it was a constant. I always knew where, that was home base, and where my grandparents lived was, it was a mixed area, I guess, but it was the black part of Oregon, you would say, or of Portland,
right.
Yeah. And I, so I always say, people sometimes, and it's funny because Kev always says on the podcast, Jay only dates black women, and it always he'll bring it up just for no reason, which always cracks me up. Which I love black women, but I don't just only date black women. I would say if you looked at the numbers, it's definitely the high percentages, black women, Latina women, everything. What's funny is usually the white women that I'm attracted to only date black dudes. So it's like, I was like, that white girl's, that chick's, hot or whatever. And then you go and talk to her and she's like, ugh, fucking be gone, cracker. But I always say, as far as my dating, like, if I grew up around predominantly black women or black people, then I guess that's what I knew. So if I grew up in a predominantly Asian area, then maybe I'd probably be attracted to mainly Asians. Or if I grew up in a predominantly white area, then maybe white women. So I think right. That's this is a long, wordy answer, but I think that's why I've always had a thing for women of color. I mean, I think back to growing up watching TV. Like, my crush growing up was from Good Times, Thelma.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, she was fucking so fine. And then I remember Living Single, Erica Alexandra.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, she was so fucking.
Man.
The thing I loved about her was sexy, smart, feisty. Ah, fuck, my favorite things. Anyways, so that's kind of a backstory on, I think, why I've always dated women of color for the most part. And now your dating history, Manny.
Yeah, mostly white women, and I've always been like, I grew up in a home where there was just, it was predominantly black, but
your home? You just had random white people walking through your home.
Well, my grandpa was half white, half black, right? And he looks more white than he does black, but he would always side with. He wanted to be known as a black man first and foremost. So, when he was in the military, all that. But growing up, I went to Catholic school, and there weren't too many. I think there were maybe 4 black people in the whole school, 1st through 8th grade. So it's like I was attracted to mostly like Asian.
There's 4 of the starting 5 of the school team.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and it's like I don't remember any black women at Catholic school. And then when my parents got a divorce, we went over to public school, and there were quite a few girls that I actually thought were really attractive. But they would, like, the black women could be harsh, especially when you're coming from Catholic school and you speak proper. I'll never forget.
Wait, what does that mean?
Legs. Oh God, I use all my syllables, Jay. It's just fucking. It was so bad, man. There was this girl named Legs. She was gorgeous.
Her name was what?
We called her Legs. I don't even remember her real name, but she had these long, like, sexy black legs, man. And I'll never forget. Everybody was like, "Yo, man, Legs got a crush on you," and I was like, "Oh, what?" And I remember talking to her. And then all of her girls surrounded me and my boys, and they were like, "That's because your boy's a faggot," and this and that. I was like, "Oh my God!" Like, you know what I mean? Because I was like talking to her about nerdy shit that she wasn't into, and like I was, she scared me to even come talk to her. And then there's this other girl named Whitney that I was really attracted to. She was black also, but I just never. I grew up in kind of a hood area, I went to kind of a hood school, and it was just like when you're wearing tight jeans and you don't have the nice shit, everybody's kind of busting on you. So it's like, damn. And so, like the white girls were nice to me, and I was like, oh, well, I'll just talk to them. And yeah, man.
Dude, while I'm telling this story, change your thing, Manny, to your handle, which is at Manny Martin Jr. But it's funny because I remember. So again, bouncing around. So middle school, I went to Beaumont Middle School, which was, it was mixed. It was a mixed school, but again, it was like for Portland, Oregon. It was, I guess you'd say, it was predominantly black. It was probably 50-50, but I mean, for Portland,
right?
That's like, oh, it's predominantly black, So I went to Beaumont Middle School, and then at one point I was living in. Up in Seattle, Washington, I think my sophomore year, I was going to high school up there. Then I moved back to Oregon and was living with my dad my senior year, and I went to Wilson High School. Now, Wilson is in Southwest Portland, and it's I guess it's middle class. I don't know. I don't want to say it's not like Lake Oswego, Oregon, which is like really rich, but so the school, it wasn't predominantly black. It was probably 20% black, but all these guys that all the black dudes that I was going to school with in high school now, I knew from middle school. Excuse me. So
gotcha.
At lunchtime or whatever, I'm hanging out with the people I grew up with. So it was so funny, though. Our high school cafeteria was segregated, where it was like the left side was where like all the black people sat, and then in the middle back was like the popular kids, and then on the far right was like the goth. And over in the black section, there was one little white dot, which was me. And so, and so again in high school, it wasn't that I also didn't really talk to girls too much in high school, but the white girls, they didn't really take an interest in me because I'm hanging out with the black people, and I don't know what they thought. Maybe they thought I was, or what. I have no idea. But I didn't really get a lot of love from the white girls. I didn't get love from the black girls either. But the black girls were nice to me as far as just in general. So it's interesting that what you're saying is I kind of had this same experience on the other side of it. Now you grew up in was it San Francisco or Oakland?
So I grew up in this place called Pinole, which wasn't too far from Oakland, and we moved around, like, especially after my parents got the divorce. But then we moved to this place called Fremont, which, once again, there wasn't a ton of black people there. I think, God, just remembering, probably like 40, 50 in the whole school. You know what I mean? And this is high school. Then after, my dad moved up to Seattle, that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to try living with him, move up here. And then even less. I mean, God, I want to say there was 10, probably 20 people, if you include the Ethiopian population, of like black people in the whole school. And so it's like, you kind of have slim pickings and everybody's already matched up, and you're just like, damn. So,
and you're the new kid.
And you're the new kid, right? So everybody, everybody seems to think you're an asshole when you're the new kid and you don't talk to anybody. But I'm just like, dude, I don't know anybody. I'm not going to go out of my way and say hi, But, it was interesting because I do remember at one point, really kind of getting into refining myself and hanging out with just all black people. And it was like there was this one dude who always used to fuck with me in the crew, and I was just like, man, I just want to go back to my white friends on the sports team who accepted me for me and shit. But it's like I've always
you were Jordan. You were Jordan to them.
But the thing is, it's like I've always I love having a diverse group of friends. I don't want to just be black. I don't want it to just be white. I like Mexican, everything else. It's just like, as long as you're a cool ass person, let's fucking hang out. But the big thing for me is, in my life, I probably have only had 3 girlfriends. I've never asked anybody out. And truth be told, the one girl I asked out, I'll never forget this. This was
here we go.
Right. Oh, dude, this was right during the beginning of comedy. So this might have been like a year before I knew you. I was doing comedy, and like I asked her out, and she was like, "Nah, let's just keep kind of just hooking up and doing what we're doing." And I was like, "All right, that's fine."
Wait.
Kinda
So
bit.
you guys had already banged?
Yeah. And so we're like, we're just kind of, hanging out. And I'm like, yeah, what do you think about being like a couple? And she's like, no, let's just keep doing what we're doing. Then she comes to an open mic, and I wouldn't say I crushed, but it was one of those where it's like, damn, you were the best of the night. And she was like, yeah, we should really think about being a couple. I was like, nah, let's keep doing what we're doing. So
you're like, I'm going to have to give you the light on that one.
Yeah, exactly. But I've always been shy, so I've never really asked out anybody. Yeah, so it's like every girlfriend that I've had, they asked me out first, and then it was like, okay, now I feel safe to go ahead and actually pursue, a relationship. So,
well, dude, so that it's interesting. So you never asked girls out, really, and there was girls I thought were hot or interested or whatever, but I never really. Okay, so I lost my virginity when I was 16. And
right.
So I'm going to tell the story about that. Then you have to tell yours. So, leading up to me losing my virginity, like I always say, some people growing up, they, maybe they start out making out when they're 10 or 11. I have no idea. As I'm giving these numbers, if somebody fucking loses their shit, excuse me, just know that I don't fucking know what age people are fucking around now. Like, I lost my virginity when I was 16, and like I knew some people that had lost it when they were like 13, and at that time I was like, holy shit, that's young. I don't know. Man. I don't know if people are losing their virginity at like fucking 4 years old now. I have no fucking idea. So just know these numbers I'm throwing out. I don't know. I'm just fucking giving an example. So what I was going to say is, growing up, some people maybe they, as kids, maybe they start making out with girls at like 11 or 12, and then, progression happens, more and more stuff they do until they lose their virginity, whatever age. Me, it was like I never was messing with girls. I collected comics. I was really into comic books and sports, and that was my thing. So I didn't really, again, I thought that certain girls were beautiful and stuff, but I don't know. I was just really focused on sports and comic books and I guess a lot of masturbating. So I remember I was 16 and I went to this, it was in Vancouver, Washington. There was an underage bar, or I think it was 18 and older. And so I go there. I won't say the girl's name. It's funny how they say you always remember your first, and that's so fucking true. So her name was Julia. I won't say her last name. I'm sure she'll probably never hear this. White girl. It was a white girl I lost my virginity to. Thick. Fucking thick. Even back then, I loved them. Like, she should have done a commercial for Budweiser. She had an ass like a Clydesdale. So I go to and I didn't even get my license till I think I was like 21 or whatever. So I'm 16, don't have a license. I don't even remember how I got to this little bar, but it was 18 and older. And because I was so tall, they just assumed I was over 18. Met this girl. She was 21. And we exchanged numbers. I think we might have made out that night. So I don't know if this was like, 3 or 4 days later or whatever, but we decided we're going to go out. I don't remember what the date consisted of, as far as like if we even went to a movie or anything, but she had to come pick me up because I didn't have a car. So I remember she came down from Vancouver. She picked me up. I think we went back to her and I met her parents, which is fucking so weird. I don't remember why, but I'm pretty sure we went back to her place and I met her parents. Then we go back to my place, aka my dad's, and my dad was he was a longshoreman, so he had weird hours. But my dad wasn't there at the time, so now we're in my bedroom, and here I am, a 16-year-old kid that I don't know anything about sex, and I'm in my bedroom with a fucking woman, like she's thick, full-figured, beautiful, and we're making out, and clothes are coming off, and this is how naive I was about sex. I'd seen I don't think I really had watched too much porn at the time, but you see sex scenes in movies. So as we're getting naked and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I guess we're about to have sex. I didn't know. I thought like somehow I just ended up inside of her. I didn't know like the dick has to be put inside of the vagina. So she's on top of me, I remember. Fucking had my little Jodeci CD playing because I'm a romantic. And, excuse me. And so she had to put me inside of her. And so had a condom on, and we're having sex, and this is how just I don't know what I'm doing. At one point that we're having sex, she says, quote, she goes, let's get a little rhythm going here.
Oh my God.
And I'm sure I was just like, fucking, let's go. I'm fucking. And I'm also probably because of your mindset as a kid and you wanting to lose your virginity, I probably felt like I was in a race to hurry up and come so I could be like, I've had sex. I can tell everyone now. So I finish, I come or whatever, and this is the craziest thing. I think I've told you about this before, Manny. I don't know why, but as soon as I finished and we're sitting there laying in the bed, I got this weird like feeling in my stomach, almost like I felt like ashamed or something. I don't know why. I don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
And I think I had a little bit of a like, oh my God, what have I done? I've been deflowered or something. I have no idea. And then literally 5 minutes after that, I was like, all right, let's go. When are we fucking again? And so then we had sex again. And that same night, fucking 2 times, ladies. Can you believe it? Yeah.
Man.
It was probably the last time I was able to go back to back like that. But now, and I'll finish up with telling this, and then I got to hear your story, Manny. But so after we finished, I think the next day or a couple days after that, again, because I don't know anything about girls, I never had a girlfriend or anything. In my head, I'm like, oh, this is now my woman. This is my girlfriend. This is now my girl.
Yeah.
And she was not my girl. And so I remember, I don't remember how it came about where I was informed that no, we aren't in anything serious. But that was my first, Julia. And she knows who she is out there. She probably has no idea. I don't even know what I think one of my, after that, though I think maybe, because Portland was pretty small growing up, and I think one of my buddies hooked up with her. And I'm sure he didn't know that I think it might have been, I don't know, I won't say the name, but I think one of my buddies started either dating her or banging her. I don't know. But that was my first time with Julia. Julia.
Oh man. God, yeah. It's so interesting, like going back. I didn't even kiss a girl until I was like 17. So, dude, I'd never had any skills with like girls, and I was always focused on sports and video games. I was a dummy. But I'll never forget. I must have been 17 that summer. And
I'm sorry, it starts. I remember the summer I was 17.
there was flowers, there was birds, and the bees were but yeah, there was this girl in the apartment complex, and she was super nice. But like we would hang out during the summer, and I remember like we didn't go all the way, but we fooled around, and I had that same guilt feeling that you did, where it's like, oh man, I got to take a shower afterwards. I'm like feeling like I just like sinned or all this stuff. And
now, how did you meet her? How did you initially meet her?
So she just was like this girl who would hit on me in the apartment complex when I would walk by after basketball, and I was like, oh, okay, hey. And then there was a local pool over there, and she would live with her grandma, and she lived with her grandma temporarily during the summer, so we kind of hang out, and one thing led to another one day, and we're just like in my room and nobody's home, so start feeling her up, but then I got too nervous and it didn't go all the way, right? So that was that experience where I just felt guilty like you did. But then probably about a year later, this just shows you my progression of still being too afraid.
Yeah.
And I was still like this as an adult. If I'm always afraid with a woman, like, because my mom ruined it for me. She was like, I want you to always remember that whoever you're dating, they're somebody's sister too, and they're gonna be somebody's mom. So it was just like, it was always in my head of like, one, you definitely always treat women with respect. So that was, that was instilled in me. But number two was just like, oh man, like I don't want to think about my mom or my sister during this weird shit. So,
oh God,
but,
dude, I'm gonna text Crystal. Crystal is Manny's wife. And I'm going to say, next time you and Manny are having sex, right when he's about to nut, just go, remember your mom said to respect women.
So, this is funny. Oh, God. Just, ugh. But, so get this. So, after that summer, I started hanging out with this girl who had graduated a year before me, who ultimately ended up becoming a Seahawk cheerleader. And never even like we would spoon on the couch every like night during the summer, like, and hang out with her friends, and nothing ever happened, man, because I was like this is a real woman, you know what I mean? I'm like too afraid to make that move. So I downgraded and met this girl at college who she wasn't all that hot.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
So the Seahawks, you said she was a Seahawks cheerleader?
Yeah.
So you messed around with her, but you never hooked up with her. And then you said you downgraded, right?
No. Yeah. I never even like, we never even made out. That's how like shy I was. But
no, this is what I love is that you're like,
yeah,
flex, Seahawks cheerleader. Didn't hook up with her, so it doesn't relate to the story. But hey, I used to cuddle with a Seahawks cheerleader.
Thought I'd throw it. Yeah, throw it out there in the universe. So then I end up meeting this girl in college, and all the like, it's weird. It's, how comics get when there's a new girl around, and how they all kind of try to cling, and because they don't know how to talk to girls. So at college, there was this one girl I started talking to, and all the guys are like, "No, man, I like her." Da, da, da. I'm like, "Oh my God!" So now it's like you got to have the dick swinging contest, right? And so I ultimately ended up like sealing the deal. We started dating for a little bit, and then I'm like, "Oh man, so we're in a relationship now. We can have sex, And I just remember being like, all right, this is going down. In my mind, I was like, I got condoms, this and that. And so, it starts super awkward, you know what I mean? And like, nobody's home. And I just remember like you having no rhythm. And afterwards I remember asking her, I was like, was it good for you? She was like, it was okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on. So this obviously was not her first rodeo.
No, so she had hooked up like one time before. But it was
God
just like,
damn. So she only had one other reference, but she still was like, it was all right. God damn.
Yeah, man. I mean, and that's the thing is like, I didn't, you don't know how to get a woman there at that point, or, whatever it may be. And so it's, I don't know. It was.
I'm just glad I didn't ask, because the answer would have been, I can just imagine, again, because I don't know anything, I'm surprised I didn't just, after the first time, just go, so did you come? She's like, no.
And that's the thing, it's like, you don't know.
You're lucky I came here, you fucking nobody.
And that's the thing, you don't know about all the shakes and everything else that go on with it, so you're just like, oh man, I think I did a good job. And it's just, you're not you have no experience, you have no reference point, except for like the softcore porns that are probably coming on like Cinemax at night. And I'm just like you, I was super surprised. I was like, man, I thought vagina was a lot higher up, you know what I mean, than it was.
I tried to fuck her belly button.
Exactly.
Like, man, she's tight and shallow.
Oh man, but yeah, I just remember it was super awkward, and I mean, I got better, over time, clearly, but yeah.
Clearly? Wait, how do we know?
I don't know.
Clearly?
I've
you have
dated
videos out?
I've dated a lot more. There's probably women out there that can contest to
it. So growing up, who was your, give me your, not in order, no, not talking in order. Who were your crushes? Give me 3 of your crushes when you were growing up.
Okay. And here's the thing is, like, I grew up on TV huge, so it's like, Saved by the Bell, Kelly Kapowski was one. Who was it? Not Good Times. Although Janet Jackson, oh my God, she was gorgeous, right? But I was gonna say, who was do you remember the one? She was also on Living Single, but she played on something else back in the day.
Was she the one that played the ditzy?
Yes.
No.
No. Not Kim. Not
Not Kim Fields.
What's her name?
Not Queen Latifah. Not Erica Alexander. The other one. She was the one that dated the handyman.
No. That hold on. Or did she date the handyman? Hold on, real quick.
Okay, I'm looking up too.
This is bad. If I can't even remember her name.
Shout out to Living Single, great show.
Yep, great
Friends
show.
stole it.
Oh no, yeah, it was. Sorry, it was Kim Fields. I was thinking Kim Coles, but I used to love Kim Fields back in the day. She was on that. I can't remember the show where it was the other girls and there was like a mom type figure. Oh God, it's gonna bug me. That's what I fell in love with.
Oh wait, Facts of Life.
The Facts of Life. Yeah, Facts of Life. Yeah. So I used to love her off Facts of Life. And then let me see, who else was I? There was this girl on Smallville. Her name is Kristen Crook. She played Lana Lang, and she's half white, half Asian. So,
mine was, like I mentioned, Thelma Good Times. She was, oh God. Oh man, I can visualize. It's so crazy what imprints in your head. I can visualize her in like form-fitting bell bottoms, and just God, so curvy and like thick. Anyways, also Alyssa Milano back in the day.
Yeah.
And
solid.
Yeah, and this is a weird one because I'm thinking about as a kid, or like, when you're young, you would think you're attracted to people around your age. Raquel Welch, back in the day.
Raquel Welch.
And dude, back in the day, she was, and she was probably like, I don't know, she might have been 40, 30 maybe when I was like young. Raquel Welch was like very curvy.
It's just so funny. She like this picture. She looks like Melania Trump that I'm looking at.
Yeah, she's up there. She's probably like 80 or 90 now.
But dude, just like I was saying, I don't know if people remember, but I like Sally Fields is one of my like.
Oh,
I don't
God,
know why.
yes.
I'm just
Dude, Sally Field, like here, I'm showing you. If you're listening to this will do nothing for you, but I'm going to show you a picture of her. Yeah, dude, like back. Can you see this, Manny?
Oh yeah. That okay. Damn.
Dude, yeah, she was back in the day. Raquel Welch. I remember. I think I told Kev about Raquel Welch on a episode of something, and then he looked her up. He was like, "Oh, I get it." Oh, I see. But yeah, that's so crazy, dude. About the first times and just now. Did you So how old were you when you lost your virginity? Was that 18?
No, 19.
Holy shit.
Man, like that's the thing is like I've had no game my whole life. So it's like I haven't ever been able to like really talk to a girl. Like, I mean, like I was saying in high school, there was a girl that I really had a crush on. Her name was Ebony Woods, right? And,
hold on. Don't skip over Ebony. EBONE with the little thing on it.
I think 2 E's with the thing on it. And so, yeah.
I love it.
And, man, she was gorgeous, but it was just like, when somebody's out of your league and I'm like, oh, she would never date me. She's hanging out with like dudes who murder people. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I have no chance. But I remember I would do like, I would make her laugh and then she would laugh, but then she was like, man, your ass is so corny, and I'm just like, oh, okay, I'll never be that dude. And so it is what it is.
And that the first girl you hooked up with, she was white.
Yeah.
Yep. Excuse me. After Julia, there was a girl that lived. She lived So about 6 houses down from me lived the Garlington family, who are Matt and Mark. They're my family. They're brothers to me. But they lived this girl lived like maybe 2 houses down from them. This girl, I won't say last names. Her name was Tisha, and beautiful, just curvy, light-skinned girl. Just she's so beautiful, and yeah, we started hooking up. It was so weird because like I look back at these girls when I was in high school, and it's like you want to say you dated, but then at the same time, like Tisha went to a different school. she lived like 30 minutes from where my pops lived, but
Right.
and so it's like, how are we dating? Like, I didn't have a car, so it's not, hey, I'll meet you at Lloyd Center. Well, I'll take the bus and I'll meet you there and watch a movie, and then we'll go on our separate ways. But it's then there was a girl. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say that's one of those things. Like I was like you, I didn't get my license until 22, so it's like it's hard to date when you literally like people are waiting on you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
My dad, I asked him, I was like, "Can I get my license?" He was like, "Oh no, we'll get you. You could catch a taxi everywhere." I'm like, "Who the fuck catches a taxi in Seattle?"
As a kid.
You know what I mean?
Hey,
yeah, exactly.
Fucking thinks you're what are you fucking just some young kid on a cab. I almost like took it as a badge of honor that I didn't have a car. So like if I started talking to a girl, I'd be like, "Well, do you like me or not? I'd take the bus. If you like me, let's see, because I got to bus it everywhere." Oh, fuck. Public transportation, dude. And then there was a girl. Her name is pretty unique, so I shouldn't even say her first name. It's similar. It's not similar, but it's like unique, like Ebony.
Okay.
But she lived in my apartment complex, and I think she was like a sophomore maybe when I was a junior. But dude, she would, when my dad was gone, like that was crazy because that was like a booty call in the apartment complex. Yeah. Like she would just come over and we would hook up, and then she would go home, and it was so dude, it's so weird. Like just looking back, I'm like, what the fuck is happening? I don't know, dude. Now that first time was when you were 19, and then so you ask her, how was it? Was it good for you? And she was like, "Nah, it's all right. I mean, we did it." But then, so did you guys then start dating?
Yeah. So we actually dated, believe it or not, for 3 years. And I mean, that was one of those things where I probably shouldn't have been in the relationship that long, but I didn't know how to break it off. Once again, didn't know how to let somebody down. Like I was like, oh, well, she's nice. We get along. She's giving me rides everywhere. I can't be too mad, So we dated for 3 years, and then I don't know if I told you about this. We worked at this clothing store called Bosswear, right? And she cheated on me with the 40-year-old manager who was Korean. And
wait, why does it matter that he was Korean? Why would you bring that up?
Well,
why
because,
does that matter?
Well, okay, when you're 19, when you're in your 20s, like I was like 22 at the time. I was like, damn, like my dick game must be horrible because literally, like she went with this guy. You know what I mean?
Wait, what does that mean? Elaborate. I'm gonna get you canceled first episode.
I don't know. At the time, I thought that was a stereotype. I don't know if it is, but I'm just saying it like fucked with me on a whole different level. You know what I mean? Dude. And like to get cheated, and this dude was super nice in my face. Took us out for dinner and was like, "Hey man, yeah, I'll pay for it." Blah blah blah. Next thing you know, he's like, "Fucking your girl behind your back, man."
Oh, so, I hope he was. I love that you were like, he was nice to my face. I hope when he was banging her, he was like, "You like this Korean dick, don't you? Manny can't do it like this, can he?" Now, when you said that you should have broke up sooner. I mean, obviously she cheated on you, so she wasn't a good person or whatever. But why should you have broken it up sooner? Do you think?
I just don't think there was a lot in common. She was, I mean, we like music, stuff like that, but I mean, she was just, I think when that's not your person, and for me, she was, it just seemed like she agreed with me on everything. She didn't have any opinions of her own, and I was just like, come on, man. And then she wanted to go everywhere with me, so I didn't even have my own personality, like where I'd want to go hang out with friends and play basketball, and she's like, "Oh, well, I'll come too." And I'm like, but get this, like my friends at the time, so after we broke up, those guys ended up hanging out with her and just like ditching me. So I was just like, I'm like, you know what, it is what it is. But some of them wanted to hook up with her, clearly. And then years later, I was doing a show at the Parlor, and had a great show. And all these guys are there, and they come up to me, and they're like, "Hey, man, I don't even know what we were mad about." And I'm in the back of my mind, I'm like, I know what the fuck we were mad about.
Yeah.
Fucking assholes.
You're like, here, and you just your phone, your screen is a picture of her, and you just tears start crying. Oh, fuck. Now, was she, so you dated from 19 to 22? This girl.
Yeah.
Would you say was that your first love, or did you not don't know?
You know, I think there's that where you get comfortable in a relationship. So it hurt when you get cheated on, you don't get any answers to something. And I don't know if it was the first love. I mean, definitely first real you care about somebody. So I would say I loved the person. I cared about him, but it wasn't my person. You know what I mean? I was I remember, I'll never forget my mom when I went home that summer to go hang out. She was just like, "Oh my God, you were like a lovesick dog, and you just, you were just so depressed, and I just wish I could pull you out of it." And my mom literally, she was like, "You got to stop listening to all this sad stuff." And then she was like, "You got to listen to some like hard stuff sometimes." And so she puts in a CD, and it's Tupac. And you know what I mean? And it's just like...
It's like, that's why I fucked your bitch.
I was like, too soon, Mom. But she played some Tupac, man, and she was like, you gotta, eventually it'll get better. You're gonna meet somebody. But I was single for a little bit after that, kind of hung out with a few girls in between. And then, it was just, I don't know, man. I still didn't have any game afterwards, It was like, even... like certain girls that I hung out with, it wasn't like, you may hook up, but it's not, I don't know. It sealing the deal for me on a relationship was harder than it should have been. So
I don't know why this triggered in my memory, but when you were talking about that, another reason, going back to when we were talking about, why our dating habits or whatever were formed. So growing up, I mentioned I bounced around a lot and stuff, and my mom, my mom passed away this year, rest in peace. And I don't want this to come off like I'm speaking ill, but growing up, me and my mom had some problems. There was times she used to threaten to put me up for adoption and shit like that. And it wasn't it wasn't like I was fucking, doing bad shit. It would be like, you didn't vacuum the living room, I'm going to award you to the court. Right. Shit like that. So now, I had that relationship with my mom again. I'm not saying I was an angel or anything, but we had our problems. And then on the other side of it, then I had my grandmother, who was like my hero. I love my grandmother dearly. Now, my mother was blonde-haired, blue-eyed. My grandmother, black hair, dark black brown eyes. So I always wonder if on a subconscious or conscious level, that's another thing. Because I've never been I've never really, growing up, guys would be like hot, blonde hair, blue eyes, would be like, oh man, that chick's fine as shit. And I'm like, not into the blonde hair, blue eyed type. And I always wonder if that, I'm sure it does. It's got to play into it somehow,
oh yeah.
So it's like I've always liked darker features, darker hair, darker eyes. I love brown eyes. Like I've dated black girls they'll wear colored contacts, and I'm like no, brown eyes are the shit. I fucking love them. Yeah. I love brown eyes. But anyways,
you know what's fascinating about that is if you think about it, I mean, Hollywood and the media in general, they literally depict, I mean, that's all you see on TV, right? And so it's like people feel like there's this universal thing of beauty, and it's really whitewashed, in society. So it's like, you're kind of taught as a kid that this is what beauty is, when beauty is so much bigger than just one specific, part of society. But I also, like you said, I think that we grow up and we really find that it's who you're surrounded by. It's like if I had been, when I was, like I said, when I was at the Catholic school, I was attracted to predominantly like Asian women because half the school was Asian.
And priests.
And then, yeah, exactly. They were.
I mean, that's what I was around, They were giving me the most play.
But yeah, I think that I would love to see that on a psychological level of if you are more attracted to, your grandmother's features, not that, you were attracted to her, but, you're turned off by this lady who was, a little more abusive towards you. Because I actually, not a lot of people know this, we had somebody who lived with us for a little bit, and her name was Snooki, right? And Snooki was...
Hold on. You keep going over these names like they're, top 10 common baby names. Snooki? What? How does that come about?
Okay. So her name was Starlet, right? And, I don't even give a shit that we're saying her name. Yeah, because she was a horrible human being. So my dad, his best friend, married this lady, and we all became really good friends. And she had a daughter who later in life, when my parents got divorced, she needed a roommate. And she would like watch us every now and then. But really sad situation. Her boyfriend came over and like literally like beat her up kind of in front of us, me and my sister. But every time we would peek over the railing where the stairs were, he wouldn't do anything. But we just heard her crying, and then she had a knot on her forehead. And we were like, what the fuck? And so I remember my mom came home in the middle of it, and she was like, you got to get the fuck out of my house, Ronnie. And, that guy ended up getting killed later. But we ended up living with Snooki for a while. And she was super abusive, like always cussing us out. Remember, she hit my sister in the head that I didn't know about, like when she dropped us off at school. Then my parents have never hit me in the face in any way, shape, or form. I didn't clean up my room one time, and Snooki literally clocked me in the head, and my head hit a dresser, and I was like, fuck. So I do wonder if I wasn't attracted to certain.
No, it was Snooki. Snooki was black.
She was black, yeah, but she was like, purple lips, like she would smoke them like menthols, you know what I mean? Like, she was like, probably want to censor that out after.
No, bro, no. You can say it.
Yeah. She was like, I don't even know how to like really depict her, but she was just a bad human being, and she was like, oh, dude, it made me feel some sort of way, and I wonder if that played in any way, shape, or form, that like this is why I felt a certain way probably in 6th grade, where I was like, oh, I'm just gonna date Asian girls,
Yeah, dude, it's shit has to. Anybody listening to this or watching this, all two of you, me and Manny, no, everybody has shit from our childhood, and some is more extreme than others, but we all have different things that form and shape our how we become as men and women, Dude, it's crazy. And I've always said that thing about my mom. I don't know if that's on a subconscious level, or is it a conscious level because I recognize it, or I think that is a thing,
Right.
Dude, I remember growing up. I remember I was on the bus, me and my buddy. I think it was my buddy Trent. Dude, I was probably 10 or 11 at the time. Really, really fucking young. And the whole bus is pretty much empty. And Trent's like in the back of the bus, and I'm kind of sitting in the middle, and there's nobody else on the bus. So we're just talking to each other, whatever. We stop at a stop, and I think like 3 black kids get on, and they're probably 16-ish. Again, I'm 10 or 11, but I'm also fucking tall. So when they get on the bus, they kind of sat by me, and not thinking anything. I just was like, oh, I'm going to go sit by Trent so I'm not yelling over at people and stuff like that. But they took that as oh, is this kid racist or some shit like that? So one of the dudes, and I hadn't done any martial arts. I hadn't fought. I was just a fucking fat nerdy kid from living with my grandparents in 8th grade, reading comics. You fucking So and I have no social cues, and I have no awareness of my surroundings or anything. I was like, I want to be polite. I don't want to yell over people. So I'm going to get up and move to Trent. That was literally all in my head. They start talking. Right. One of them comes up to me and he goes, "What'd you say?" I had not said anything, and then just fucking punched me in the face. Because I'm sure they thought I moved because I was some racist kid or whatever. I start crying. I was like, what the fuck has happened? And then I think, to their credit, I think one of the buddies of the 3 kids realized that I'm just some nerdy fat kid doesn't know anything. And he was like, nah, man, he's all right. Leave him alone. And I was just like, what the fuck just happened, man? It's crazy. I still remember that shit to this day. It's so funny, dude.
Man.
I'm just like, I just was talking to Trent about comics. These guys really fucking hate comics.
Dude, I had a similar situation where, you know, it's so funny looking back. It's like most of my bullies were like women. You know what I mean? Like, and I'll never forget. There was this really big girl in school, and my mom, like I said, she would never buy us any like baggy jeans. She always wanted us to dress proper. So, you know, I'm like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm going to wear some baggy jeans. My sister was a little overweight at the time, so I grabbed her jeans, right? The female jeans.
So
they were like,
funny.
you know, they're baggier. And so I sag them a little bit, you know, to where you can't really tell that they're, you know, whatever. So I'm wearing them, and this one girl always used to fuck with me, and she was a little bit bigger, you know, she was black. She was like, look at Manny, he's wearing women's jeans. I was like, no, I'm not. And like, I tried to like sag him even lower. Just was like, she was like, no, Manny, them women's jeans, like they get tight around the ankles and they're big around the hips. I was like, oh God. And I had to wear them shits the rest of the day, man. That was my whole life.
Your buddies were like, man, Manny got a fat ass. Look at them hips. Manny is thick. Thick boy.
So, oh my God.
Oh, all right. So we're gonna hit on one last thing as we wrap this up. But this has been the first episode, and you know, we're gonna be doing this weekly, video and audio. It's on YouTube. Manny's at Manny Martin Jr. on Instagram. I'm at Big Irish J, obviously. And I want to ask, as you're listening to this, write in if you have questions. How does a married guy, and we're going to, obviously, as we go over different episodes, we're going to talk about Manny being married, my dating, all kinds of stuff. But if you have a question, how does the married guy handle it versus how does a single guy, or how does Manny handle it, and how do I, Jay, handle it? You can email questions, or, you know, put it to the test, whatever you want to call it, at Big Irish J, or Jesus, Big Irish J at gmail.com. And you put in the title just LBW question, and it will give you a shout out on the show. Yep. So the question for this week is, Manny, using the bathroom with your spouse or somebody you're dating or whatever, door open for yourself and or them, yes or no?
Okay, so do you want to know what we do, or do you want to know what our ethics are? Like, what should you do?
Both. And I'll tell you mine.
Okay. So Crystal will close the door, peeing and pooping. Like, she's like, no, I'm not gonna.
I love her more and more every day.
Yeah. So for me, if I'm peeing, like, I'll pee with the door open. I don't give a shit, because this is real quick. Just gonna knock it out, stand it up. But if I'm shitting, I will literally lock the door. Like, I don't know why. I always have to lock the door. You know what I mean? Nobody will be home, and I still have to lock the door. And I think it's from growing up as a kid. Like, I just don't want anybody walking in on me. So
okay,
yeah.
God bless you both. I shut the door for probably both. I mean, 100% for shitting, and I also lock the door. I'm trying to think, like, if a girl's spending the night or whatever, or I think I shut the door even when I piss. But I piss in the sink. I'm just kidding. I'm joking. I'm joking. What if you're like, I shut the door, but I have really weird piss. I just piss in the fucking toothbrush drawer. No. So I shut the door for both. Now, have you? Dude, I remember I was dating a girl that lived in when I was living in Boston. This girl, she lived in New Jersey, and I remember I was spending the night at her house one night, and it was a fucking humid summer night, and so I couldn't handle being in the bed with her because it was just too hot. So I was like, I'm gonna go in the guest room and fucking turn the AC. I can't help. You know, I love you. Cool, I'll be back.
Yeah.
Middle of the night, I woke up and I had to go piss. I come around the corner, dude. She has the door open and she's sitting on the thing. I don't know what she was doing, pissing or shitting. And it looked like a fucking raccoon just caught in like and I was like, yo, I fucking freaked. I go, fucking shut the door. And I think you've heard it. I've tried to. I think I've done a bit on stage talking about it.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why it's a thing for me is because this is for the women. If you're wondering, we're in love. You should just accept whatever. Here's my thing: is this. So when you're sitting as a woman, if you're sitting down on the toilet, whether you're peeing or shitting, for us as guys, when we see that, the only thing we equate that posture to is shitting, because we sit when we shit. So I think I've tried to examine myself on this. I think it's no matter what she's doing there, I'm thinking she's shitting or it's a shitting posture, and I don't want to fuck someone that I've seen shit. It's like I think it turns me off. Like, dude, I'm like, my last girlfriend, Isabel, which you know Isabel. She moved to Atlanta, by the way.
Really?
I'll talk to you about that later. But anyways, Isabel, dude, if she even was gonna fart, and it wasn't like she was busting ass like loud farts or anything, it would be I wouldn't even know. But she would get up out of the bed and go in the other room and poot, and then come back. Now I would just she like, ooh, you farted. but yeah, I can't. Oh, dude, I remember one girl, my friend Danae. We were leaving the parlor, and she had to tinkle, and she couldn't hold it, and so she just dropped trow in the garage of the parlor on one of the floors and tinkled.
Yeah, and
I was like, yeah, this has been a cool friendship. It's like, maybe we shouldn't hang out anymore. I love Danae. She's a friend. She knows if she hears this, she'll probably laugh about it. But I was like, fucking you heathen, fucking hold it or go upstairs. What are you doing?
It's so funny. It's so funny the way you say it. Like, especially when you caught her in the bathroom, like where you came around. It's like you literally sounded like you wanted to rub her face in it.
Dude, I was just because like you're half asleep. You're not expecting to see anybody. My thought is she's asleep in her room, and you're groggy, and you turn the corner, and then you're just like, oh my God, what the fuck? And dude, it's like because you're not alert, so you have no filter. So I just blurted out. I go, shut the fucking door, Jesus Christ! Oh God,
it's interesting because
because I know lots of people that are in healthy relationships and both will leave the door open, or that fucking one person. I know some people that one person will be brushing their teeth, the person will be next to them just shitting, and I'm like, what the fuck?
I've heard of that. The one thing Crystal says is she's like, I always want to come off as attractive still. She was like, I don't want to ever get careless and just be comfortable. And it's like, it's so funny because me personally, I'm like, I love you regardless. But she's like, no, I still need to feel beautiful, and I don't want you to not think that I'm beautiful. So I was like, well, hey, hats off.
Okay, so I get what you're saying. I 100% get what you're saying about I'm going to love you regardless. That's very sweet, Manny. Cool. But now let me present a scenario for you. What if one day out of the blue, you're in there just brushing your teeth, and she just comes in while you're brushing your teeth. She goes, oh, hi, honey, good morning. You give her a quick peck, and then she just turns around, drops trow, and not only starts shitting, but like audibly shitting, growlers, and you're hearing it drop, and it smells. I mean, you're not gonna physically have like maybe it takes it down a tick.
Yeah. Oh God, it would definitely put I think for anybody, I think even if she caught me, like, I mean, there's times where I fart and she's like, oh my God, are you serious? Like, you know what I mean? I need to remember to still be somewhat attractive in the house, so. Yeah, I'm with you. I think that it'll affect you a little bit. But I knew a girl that I worked with who was like, yeah, sometimes I shit in front of my husband. I'm like, what? And I'm like, I can't do it. So,
dude,
that's a level of comfort I'll
next
never get
episode, I'm putting it in our little notes, Manny. We're going to talk about ass eating. Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. We're going to talk. That's going to be episode 2. So you guys will have to turn into episode 2. But yeah, this has been Love in Black and White. I'm Big Irish J. Hollingsworth.
I'm Manny Martin.
And thanks, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show, and look forward to doing more of them. And we got to have a tagline. What is it? What'd you say at the beginning? Love something or other?
Oh, putting love in you.
Yeah, putting the love in you. All right.